Hi, everybody. Dr. Ellie Stein here. This is a short follow-up to the video I released last week on the TREATME study, TREATME. This was a study reporting on 3,925 patient reports about what types of treatments they tried, which helped them and which didn't. I was left with an unanswered question during that video, and it was the following. The authors stated that of all of the variables they measured, things like age, gender, how long you've been ill, etc., the strongest correlate overall to whether specific treatments helped or didn't help was what they call capacity. So capacity means how capable you are of living a full life. I sent my question to Dr. Zhao, and he passed me on to Dr. Peng Li, who is the statistician for the study. She was very generous. She answered a bunch of my questions, and she sent me this diagram, which is on the screen right now. So I'm going to walk you through it because this really answers that question. You'll see over here on the right that all of the participants, the 3,925, were divided into 4 groups based on illness severity. The people who are the most well have the highest capacity, and the people who are the most severely affected have the least capacity. Now you'll see that these 4 categories are represented on the heat map to the left: severe, moderate, mild, and well. And what these mean in real life, the people in the severe category, these were measured using something called the ME-CFS Disability Scale, which was developed by Dr. Charles Shepard many years ago. So the people in the severe category were housebound and often bedbound, needed help with everything. The people in the moderate category sometimes were housebound, but could do a couple of light tasks, especially on good days. The people in the mild category with a score of 60, many were able to work part-time and do some additional, household tasks and social activities, as long as they paced really carefully and took enough rests. And the people in the well category, they're not at 100, so they're not totally well, but they could potentially work full-time and had minimal interference with their daily life as a result of symptoms. What you'll see in this heat map, the red means there was the strongest correlation between the treatment and getting better. So red means red, orange, and yellow. Those people benefited from the treatment, whereas the blue had much less benefit. So unlike figure 2, which I showed you in the previous video, in this one, blue doesn't mean they got worse. It just means the benefit was, we'll say, modest. And if you look at the big picture, you don't have to be a statistician to notice that people who are already relatively well or mildly affected have a lot more red, orange, and yellow in their heat maps, meaning they're more likely to benefit from these various treatments. And the people who are moderately and severely affected, with the least capacity to start with, were also the least likely to benefit. This is one of the really well-known facts in ME-CFS. It was certainly true in my clinical practice. The more severely ill a person is, the more careful you have to be when starting a new treatment. The motto, start low and go slow, really is especially true for the people who are moderately and severely affected. And unfortunately, they're also more likely to suffer harm from the treatment. They're more sensitive in general. So that's the big picture. If you're already a bit better, you're more likely to benefit from treatments, and therefore you could perhaps be a bit bolder to try some of them. The other take-home message is similar to what I shared in the previous video, that it really jumps out at me that the top 3 treatments, the one with the most red and orange, across all the categories, are things that are no to low cost, accessible to all, and things that we ourselves can titrate and make decisions about, right? We don't have to wait for a prescription for pacing or to decide how much salt or fluid we take or even to buy compression stockings. So the good news of this heat map is that everyone can benefit to some degree from these 3 strategies over which we can exert some personal control and decision making. And some of the treatments which are more difficult to access are actually less effective overall. Now, you'll notice there's some gray boxes. Dr. Lee explained that these gray boxes are when there's less than 20 people in that cell. So, for example, less than 20 well people received vagal nerve stimulation, and they basically left it blank because they didn't want people to overinterpret and generalize or make conclusions from such a small number of people. So a really big thank you to Dr. Lee for sending us this additional information, which really helps clarify that statement in the paper. I would love to hear whether this diagram and the results in it kind of correlate with your personal experience or your views about who benefits most from treatments. And, like, for example, does pacing work for you? Do fluids work for you? Maybe vitamin D is way down the list, but it was really helpful for you. Love to hear your experience.